Hello there, and welcome to episode 73 of the Middle-Aged Outlaws podcast. Today we'll be talking about the pay-per-view TNA Genesis, which was held in 2006 in the Impact Zone. And this is our much-awaited episode where we couldn't wait to see Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe.
What the hell happened to wrestling?
Outlaws.
Well, I don't go no street, no smacking with a beat goes whacking and a sound I'm checking into a hotel. I'll slow no more outlaws in town. They ran their clan.
I likes that one too. The head is bobbing.
That's the full extent of my dancing.
That's good. I like it. No, I've seen much more extensive dancing for you in days gone past. Then give me it. These days we might hurt our backs or something.
Yeah.
Do you know, I have just come in from kids football training where I am a coach, as you know, and we devised a fitness drill called the Square of Pain for them, right?
Oh.
It sounds a bit Saw-esque actually, but it's not at all. It's just sprinting and dribbling. I tried to chase some of the boys round it tonight, and now I'm in quite serious pain and maybe requiring medication.
Oh, whatever happened to beep tests? They always made me feel like that.
We still do bleep tests.
Oh.
It's good fun watching them doing bleep tests.
Yeah, I'll bet.
The thing is, at 9-year-old, they love it. They say you're doing a bleep test like that. Yes. Anyway, welcome, episode 73. Adam, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. You?
I'm all right, thanks. We took a little trip off the beaten track of Bound for Glory. Just as we started on our journey, we swerved off and said we need a pee, and we're off to see TNA Genesis. But a worthwhile stop off, would we say?
We had no choice, really, given the last show. Yeah,
you're right. So this pay-per-view had Angle versus Kurt Angle in his pay-per-view proper fighting debut for TNA, taking on an undefeated Samoa Joe, and we shall get to it in all good time.
Nice.
However, before we do, let's talk about our movie that we watched for this week. It was 28 Days Later. It came out in 2006, which is nearly 20 years ago, which is hard to believe, but is true. Here's the synopsis for 28 Days Later. 4 weeks after a mysterious, incurable virus spreads throughout the UK, a handful of survivors try to find sanctuary. Directed by Danny Boyle, written by Alex Garland. We've got a cast including Cillian Murphy, Christopher Eccleston, Brendan Gleeson with an incredible sort of Cockney accent, Naomi Harris, and a bunch of other sort of recognisable UK faces. How's your experience with 28 Days Later?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I hadn't seen this for a really long time. And I think it's one of these films that when it came out, I got it on DVD back in the day.
Remember?
I watched it a lot when I first got it, and then I hadn't seen it for probably over 10 years, I'm guessing. It'd been a long time. And, I could remember the basic story. I could remember some of the moments, but I didn't really remember the film as a whole. I really enjoyed rewatching it. I think it probably got a bit of sort of zombie fatigue over the years, but watching this, it didn't feel. There's something a little bit different about it. It's like a virus outbreak, and it's almost like it's two films. I feel like there's two parts of it. There's the central character, the Cillian Murphy character, sort of waking up and realizing everything's gone, nobody's there, getting together with this other band of people, and then I feel like the bit where they arrive at almost like a military base is kind of like a different film. And I remember that being the bit when I was younger and when I was first watching it, I struggled to get into the bit you get to the military base. I was more interested in them going around navigating a city trying to survive. But I enjoyed it as a whole watching it this time, and some really good music in there as well.
It's got a cracking score. I felt like this as well, same as you. I think it's really easy to remember the sort of opening stuff with London being completely scarce of anybody else going about apart from Cillian Murphy, who seems to be taking it pretty well.
Yeah, takes it in stride.
I think that's easy to remember. I think I feel the same as you, and I think I said to you, I seem to remember watching it to a point where he's lying on his back and he sees a plane going overhead, and I think they talked about like we're an island. They've left us to be like sort of quarantined. Is that what they were saying?
Yeah.
And I thought that was the end of the film. And then he goes on this amazing murder spree of the army battalion, and we get a sort of nice Hollywood ending to boot. It sort of took me by surprise. The bit where he goes off, and I know you love that, the bit where he just goes psycho, and it's got an amazing soundtrack playing, reminded me of the bit in Sunshine. It's also Danny Boyle and Cillian Murphy, and he sort of goes similar in Sunshine, doesn't he?
Really. There's a like an intensity to it, 'cause it's all coming to a head at that moment. You've got the woman he's with and the younger girl who they're trying to protect.
Maybe one of the worst child actors of all time. Is that
not great, but she is trying to hide basically from the soldiers, if you like. But at the same time, you've got Cillian Murphy like up in rafters, like stalking them as they're going,
and he's
you've also
smirking as well.
Yeah, and you know, it was obviously, I think, judging by what happens with him and the female lead, where she doesn't actually know that he's not infected when he first starts killing off the soldiers. And you've also got the soldier that has been infected, and they've been keeping, like, they said initially to try and learn things about the virus, but basically just to sort of torture.
They're keeping him like a dog, aren't they?
Yeah. And he is on the loose, and it's there's all these things coming to a head at the same time, which I really enjoyed, and the music just plays into that really well.
It's brilliant. It's amazing. We're going to do 28 Weeks Later next. That's set in 2007, so we're going to jump onto that. But it is amazing that it's taken so long for them to do. We've just heard just last week or something like that, they're talking about doing 28 years later. It's amazing to think that they've left it for this long.
Yeah.
I think in this day and age, and I think we've said this before, like, but like Cubit, they would be setting TV shows within that world, and showing it from all different, see it from America and whatever. It's amazing. It's I feel like it's great world building.
Yeah.
Right from the start. Really good. Really, really good. It looks quite cheap, I think. Because my wife said to me, when was this made? she says, I'm getting a bit Day of the Triffids type from it. But I think it was only made for something like $6 million, and it must have made such a huge profit.
It must have. Yeah, it was really entertaining. I said to you, I'm really excited for 28 Weeks because I think I watched 28 Days a lot. I think I've maybe only seen 28 Weeks a couple of times, so that I don't have the same memory of exactly how that goes. So that'll be good.
Nice. And like, so they've kind of done with 28 Weeks Later what we're talking about there, I suppose, because they then you get completely different characters, and different actors and all that sort of stuff. But it does seem ripe for a sort of anthology with different perspectives of different characters. Something that they talked about doing with Cloverfield as well that they never did.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really interesting seeing London completely scarce, like we said, and I think before 2019 you would have said, you'd never see that, and then come 2019, that's what you see people posting on their Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. Is, oh my god, this is so bizarre. It's
weird.
Quite interesting. tiny wee bit of trivia before we move on to TNA. So, what we got here? So they had a celebratory scene. Were they having a picnic or something like that? The four characters, Jim and Selena and the man and his daughter were having like a picnic. They shot that on September 11th, 2001.
Oh, right. Okay.
And they said it felt really weird to be doing like a celebratory scene on that particular day. And just a little bit about the endings. You and I spoke about the endings and how I was confused at what had happened. They shot a bunch of different endings. I think they ran out. I think I read that they ran out of budget. You know, when they're in the taxi and they go flying forward.
Yeah,
they ran out of money there, and they used that as the film in a test screening. And the studio said, "Look, we'll give you more money because you can't stop it there."
Okay.
Basically, they'd also made a much darker ending. What had I read? Killian Murphy's taken to hospital where he dies from the gunshot wound. I think is it Christopher Eccleston gives him.
Yeah.
Selena and Hannah leave the hospital together with an open ending, suggesting that they made it, but he died. But the studio said no to that.
Try to think what I would have made it if they had just ended it in the taxi. So they've just broke through the gates in the taxi and they propel forward. If they had ended it there, I probably wouldn't have hated that.
Nah. I do like an ambiguous ending much better than I do a nice tied up in a bow ending. Yeah. We'll see what 28 weeks later brings, but yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, let's talk TNA Genesis 2006. We're back in the Impact Zone, and I was listening to Kurt Angle's podcast today, actually, talking about this, and he said it's quite humbling to go from travelling around the world with WWE in different countries almost every other week, and then coming to what is supposed to be a really big show for this company that I'm working in, and there's like 936 people.
Yeah, that must be weird.
But he also said the way that they've set it up, it's so tight that it makes it sound like there's so much more people there.
Yeah.
Like some of you'll be the same. Some of the best concerts I've ever been. I've been in small, what you call it, places where like the sound's bouncing off the walls and all that sort of stuff. Versus,
I was thinking there's a band I've seen quite a few times live, 9 Inch Nails, and I've seen them open air stadium, and I've also seen them in these quite tight arenas. And there's something about like you're close to the stage, like you say, the sound is just all around you rather than coming from a stage and losing lots of it up to the sky. They're totally different experiences, but not worse, just different.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, commentary team, Don West and Mike Tenay, as usual. We've both become quite happy with that, quite comfortable with that, and fans of their work. Tenay gets us right in the mood for it. He says, "We're here for the most anticipated match in TNA history." He obviously did not remember watching the Kevin Nash Invitational X Division Battle Royal that was on the last one. Okay, opening contest was what was it? 3 versus 2 handicapped tag team match. We had Kazarian, Johnny Devine, and Maverick Matt, who they seem to be looking sort of vampiric. Would you say? In look?
Yeah. It was. I don't know if we just hit the start of something. It felt very like the Brood type story.
I never correlated that. Aye, you're right. And they're taking on the Voodoo Kin Mafia. Let me just say this, and this is all I'm going to say about this. I think I watched this the same week as the stuff with Vince came out, and all I wanted to do was just watch this and it not have any sort of link to WWE or anything like that. And then the first match that came on is the Voodoo Kin Mafia, and we'll talk about what they then go on to do after the match. I was just like, oh, fuck off. I just want away from all that horribleness. So, yeah. Anyway, what did you think? Well, we should say Voodoo Kin Mafia is Billy Gunn and Road Dogg. they've been the James Gang. Apparently that wasn't working for them after they'd been the 3 Live crew. And now they're the Voodoo Kin Mafia, which is, of course, the initials of Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
I didn't enjoy this. I thought it wasn't a good match, but also, like I talked before about, I find it kind of depressing seeing Road Dogg and Billy Gunn in this environment, looking, particularly Road Dogg here, sluggish, struggling. There's a lot of things it looks like he's trying to do physically that he just can't. And there's something even sadder about, I think, the desperate attempt to get attention on it. So I was a bit like, I didn't have any enthusiasm for it from the start. Poor Kazarian, Maverick Matt, and Johnny Devine. I couldn't bring myself to care about what it was that was going on with them, with their new story, and I knew the Road Dogg and Billy Gunn were going to win, and I'm like, it's a handicap. These guys are finished. It's a handicap match. They're losing, and it's to these guys that look like they've lost more than a beat. So I just, I really struggled with this. I just kept watching, thinking, is this not done yet?
Quite a sad start. I literally don't have any. I think I've got one note about the actual action and ring. It can't have been on for long. And all I've got is that the biggest pop is for a pedigree and then a sweet chin music faking. It's so, you're totally right. We spoke about that last time. It's depressing seeing them playing the hits and all that sort of stuff, but it's particularly Road Dogg no able to really actually do it. It's this thing about referring to WWE, winking that we're referring to WWE. All you're doing, and certainly in my case, this is exactly how I felt, is reminding me that WWE exists. Like, just concentrate on your own product, build your own stars.
And it's also like, I'm watching them do this, and the announcers are doing it, and Road Dogg and Billy Gunn themselves are doing it. But I'm watching, thinking, they don't care. They're not watching this on the other side. They're not. They're in no way interested or invested, and you're trying to get their attention, and you kind of know as a viewer you're not getting it. I
see it comes across as desperate, cringy. Calling out Michael Hickenbottom, Paul Levesque, Vincent McMahon. It's just cringy. Horrible. Please don't do this. And you see AEW doing this as well, and you just think, just build up your guys. Make us care about your guys. I don't, I'm watching you. I'm not watching that.
Yeah.
After the match, Kazarian and Maverick Matt bring back out Johnny. Is it Johnny Devine?
Yeah.
He sounds like he'd be a Johnny Devine. He's taking the pin. They bring him back out the ring. Raven comes out dressed as, I don't know, he's dressed as. At first I got him dressed as Kingpin from Daredevil. And then he takes his suit jacket off and he's got this huge, freaky collar thing on that he's having some particularly, some wardrobe issues with. It keeps coming up. Raven takes a cane to Divine's back multiple times and leaves.
Yeah. I think they're referring to Raven as the Redeemer here.
Oh. It did, when you saw them, you did kind of think, it wasn't until after I was like, all right, they're aligned with Raven. Clearly. They're like gothic and whatever. But to be fair, we did say last time, like, Raven looks like he's lost a beat. Make him the mouthpiece for younger talent. They've listened.
Well, let's see if they feature on the next show.
Good point. Did they have a group name? No, they were just called.
I think they were just given their individual names. Yeah.
Maverick Matt's a really shit name.
Yes.
Kazarian's a weird name as well. Like, obviously his name's Frankie Kazarian. I don't know if that's his real name or not. But Kazarian just sounds like it's like some sort of carny speak.
Yeah, I prefer it with the first name added. That works better. Yeah.
Same. Okie dokie. Not a good start, but room for improvement. Backstage with our boy Jeremy Borash. He is with the franchise, Shane Douglas and the Naturals. I thought the Naturals looked better this time.
Yeah.
They look a bit more heelish.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Leather jackets. They just looked a bit, I don't know, less clean cut. Douglas cuts a promo on Team 3D, who the Naturals put through tables on Impact, and Dutt and Lethal, which takes us to match number 2, which is Sonjay Dutt and Jay Lethal with Jerry Lynn in their corner versus the Naturals with Shane Douglas in their corner. So we've got a wee ECW thing going on the outside. What do you think of this match?
I much preferred it to what had gone before.
Absolutely.
I thought there was some nice combinations. I thought, like, I didn't really remember having seen Dutt and Lethal being a team. I thought they combined pretty well together. Jay Lethal's 21 here. It had me thinking, to be 21. And, you know, they're very fast paced, but there's a lot of combination moves between them. Not only the look of the Naturals in the promo area, but I thought they had something about them as a team. I remember thinking that before. It just didn't really work the last time.
Yep.
And yeah, I thought it was quite a nice contrast of teams. I thought there was some decent action in the ring. Again, is it because of what I just watched, before it, which I thought was really poor? This picked me up a little bit. I quite enjoyed this.
Nice. Complete contrast, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dutt and Lethal were just not flying about the place in a sort of daft, let's do 100 Canadian destroyers and get back up sort of way. They were doing like combination work, in and out, quick, drop kick, take them down, all that sort of stuff. It was great. Eventually, the Naturals end up isolating Jay Lethal, and Dutt gets the sort of traditional hot tag. It was a fun match. I was the same as you. I liked Dutt and Lethal together. They were cool.
I think they made a bit of a mess of the finish. So one of the Naturals had Dutt in a powerbomb position. The other Natural comes off the top with a drop kick. That seems to be their finishing move. But I think he more hit his own man than he actually hit Dutt. And the fans obviously picked up on it because the "you fucked up" chants were
really?
there.
I missed that class.
It's a shame because it was a decent match, but yeah, they did mess that up a wee bit.
Okay. I've obviously got ECW on the brain because wherever I've got franchise in my notes, I'm reading Francine. Two slightly different people. But did Shane Douglas cause a bit of distraction for the Naturals?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think when Dutt was going up to the corner before he was going to execute a move, Douglas distracted him, which allowed them to get him in that powerbomb position.
Right, okay. Same as the last time, I think TNA have got a really good tag division.
Yeah.
Quite similar to what we said when we were going through Halloween Havocs with WCW. They've got the opportunity to put on really good tag matches, with the exception of the Voodoo Kin Mafia.
Yeah.
Okay, dokie, back with Borash. He's with our boys, LAX. Yes. They are going full Iron Sheik, Sergeant Slaughter, 1990 whatever heel, and they are talking about burning the American flag. They did try and do it on Impact, but Pete Williams stopped them. I don't know where Pete Williams sits within this story, do you?
No, I mean, they do make the point of saying he's a Canadian, and just from a story point of view, you maybe find it a little bit strange that he's the guy that kind of makes the save and stops the flag from being burned. But I just have to assume that they have a plan for him that he's going to factor into moving forward. But they really laid in, like, a lot of the when you hear a lot of anti-American stuff, the stuff about they love war because war means profit and stuff like that. They were really laying in and leaning in on it. Yeah, very convincingly done. Yeah.
Even just, it's funny, like, by Conan's face, you feel like he means it.
Yeah, this is a brilliant role for him.
Amazing.
we've seen him, bits and pieces in, places like the NWO where he was a little bit lost in the shuffle and things like that, and having matches with some of the cruiserweights where he was the power guy. But this feels like it suits. This feels like this is what he was made for.
100%. Totally agree. JB says to Conan that Jim Cornette is backstage and that TNA management will put a stop to them setting the American flag on fire, and Conan says, "Screw Cornette and screw TNA management. Arriba la raza," and he's off. And it just leaves Homicide and Hernandez just to say a couple of things, and that's all we're getting for them, and then they're off.
Yep.
I love the guys. Absolutely love them.
Nice.
Amazing package of the three of them. Okay, we got a video package of... Is he just called Sabin here, or is it called Chris Sabin? I think he's just called Sabin.
I think they're just being called Sabin, yeah, because they've changed him a wee bit since we last saw him.
He's got like some sort of personality. He's a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
We get some backstory. Christopher Daniels has returned to the X division. It seems that AJ Styles, since the last pay-per-view, had picked up the X Division title, and Sabin had then won it back from. Probably go into details as to how that happened, and Daniels is ready to challenge him after this.
There's a lot of disrespect from Sabin about these X Division legends. Daniels, Styles, and Jerry Lynn as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he's playing the sort of really cocky, arrogant upstart that I suppose the story of the match generally is he needs to be put in his place by one of these veterans.
Yeah. And Christopher Daniels is absolutely the man to do it. Is Daniels the champion here? Yeah,
Daniels is champion. I don't know that Styles won it. I think Styles, or did there was a match with Styles and Sabin. Did he actually win it off him, or did he cheat to retain, or something like that?
I think that's what it was.
Then Daniels has won it off Sabin, so this is the rematch from that.
Okay, cool. Did you know that Christopher Daniels calls himself the Fallen Angel?
No.
I only know it because they said it on the commentary here. He's called the Fallen Angel because he's God's gift to professional wrestling.
Oh.
I like that.
I don't think I picked up on that. I always thought it was a really cool name, but I don't think I ever thought any more of it beyond that.
I thought it was like I don't know what I thought it was. I thought it was deeper than that, or like, I don't know, but I like it. It's cool. Yep, X Division Championship match, Christopher Daniels versus Chris Sabin. This was a good one as well, as you would expect, probably. Yeah,
I enjoyed this, and Sabin's doing his best to heal out through the match.
Mm-hmm.
I think loads of the early stages are just Daniels dominating him, and then when Sabin gets an inch, he's within seconds. He's got Daniels positioned upside down in the corner and all that, and he's trying to cut all the corners to try and get his win. In terms of through the match, there's some really good exchanges. I think I was maybe a wee bit more impressed with Sabin here, but again, he's in the ring with Daniels, which probably helps, I would have thought. And it's one of those where I feel like, to an extent, even though there's all the cheating and sneaky stuff, I felt like it elevated him quite well. So yeah, enjoyed it. Thought it was a good match. I love watching Christopher Daniels.
He's amazing,
awesome.
isn't
he? Yeah, brilliant.
I feel like at 41-year-old that you're probably not supposed to discover people that are amazing now, but I definitely feel like that with Daniels.
Yeah,
he is tremendous, and I'm definitely guilty of never having really seen any of his work. I would love to have seen him as a higher power now and see what happened there.
Yeah,
it's been cool.
Yeah.
I felt this is probably the first time that I felt that the commentary team did a really good job sort of moving the narrative along of Sabin's this cocky, heelish attitude that he's developed. I liked there were some times where he looked like he was going to go for dives over the top rope and then just ran to the ropes and got out the ring really slowly and did a double axe handle off the apron.
Yeah. it is totally different from this. But do you remember when Mick Foley was in ECW and he moved away from the hardcore stuff and he started criticising all the hardcore stuff?
Yes.
It's like he is telling the crowd he is above having to do this to entertain them, and I like that.
That's
That
good.
was a nice twist there.
It's good. How do we finish here?
So there's an important story moment in terms of what happens later. But Sabin at a point has a chair,
Yes.
a steel chair, and AJ Styles is out and takes the chair off him, stops him from using it. And what have we got as we go to the finish? DDT by Sabin for 2, powerbomb by Sabin for 2.
Daniels hits a lovely Death Valley driver, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
And then he hits the best moonsault ever after that. It gets a really close.
Yep.
Close
what have we got? Roll up by Daniels. It's just a roll up to retain. And then Sabin gets a wee bit heelish again.
Oh, he does.
He sneaks up behind with a chair in hand, but Jerry Lynn's out, grabs the chair, starts telling Sabin, not like this, you got to be respectful, all that kind of thing. He's like an elder statesman here, Jerry Lynn, telling Sabin to show respect, shake the hand of Daniels, which he does. I kind of knew it was coming.
He did. It's still quite funny when it happens.
Yeah, as soon as Jerry Lynn's back is turned, Sabin attacks Daniels, and he's raging, Jerry Lynn, when he comes back in, and Sabin's like sneaking away laughing.
Class. He must be pretty young here, Chris Sabin. Was he 24 or something like that?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. It's nice to see him getting, I think, something different to do, something to add.
Well, the thing is, I feel like it'd be really easy with the X division to just be like, oh, it's this high intensity division where it's all about the in-ring action. And they're giving him just that little bit more, and it just creates a bit more of a character around him.
Yeah.
Now, what they did with Austin Starr, they went too far. Or Austin Aries, they went too far. Talking of which, we get a really weird. What are they doing? We're backstage. The camera's really close up to Nash, Austin Starr, and Alex Shelley. They appear to now be called paparazzi.
Yeah.
Nash is doing a bit of sort of half-arsed, lackadaisical, sarcastic coaching.
Yeah.
They're shouting weird stuff. Do you get it? No?
Not really. Like, when it started with all the camera close-ups and stuff, it was reminding me of all these, like, American cop shows from, like, the 90s. And I wasn't sure what they were really going for. And Nash, we know what he is here. He's having a laugh, quite often at the expense of the division. And he's talking about a losing streak, so they must have lost a few matches. But the pep talk isn't really one that's going to get you going. And then he's just basically at the end like, we got to get a win. Like, yeah. Cheers, Kev.
Well, that takes us into their match. So it's Shelley and Starr. Does Austin Starr remind you of Grandmaster Sexy?
Oh, here, maybe a wee bit. And in the last show, actually, when he was being quite over the top.
Sort of daft walking.
I hadn't really thought about it before, but yeah.
It's Shelley and Starr, Alex Shelley, Austin Starr versus Ron the Truth Killings and Lance Hoyt, which seems to be... Lance Hoyt is in his hip-hop hippo bag.
Yeah.
Quite a weird pairing. I said the same. See, if Truth didn't dance during... He's like a hyperactive kid. If he didn't dance during the matches, he'd be amazing.
Uh-huh. And he's got a great look. He's we've seen it maybe in WWE. He's got, like, a comic timing about him.
Absolutely.
When you want to use him like that.
Yeah.
And he's big, he's athletic, he's quick. He's got so many physical skills, but I don't know, there's something of like a goof about him.
Stop dancing. Like, some people aren't strong enough or fast enough or whatever. Just Truth just can't stop dancing. This feels like I don't know. It's there to do a job on the card, but it sort of surpasses what it's supposed to do. It's quite entertaining, quite fun.
We got Nash on commentary here again,
Yeah.
and I think they were just getting done with talking about Jerry Lynn as the pioneer of the X Division, and Nash is demanding to know why he isn't recognised as the pioneer of the X Division. I was not sure about Lance Hoyt dancing either. He seemed to have to do that as part of his. He's a big guy. He's doing this as part of the gimmick. There's some good moments in it, but they're I can't quite figure out where they're going with the story with Nash and what is now the paparazzi, because he just seems increasingly frustrated with them as they go.
It's kind of like they're good wrestlers, but they're egomaniacs, and they kind of get past the sort of egomaniac and wanting to be on camera and stuff like that. I think that's...
Because as we go through the match, there's a point where they are potentially closing in on the win, and rather than just go and get it done, I think one of them asked the other to go and get a camera. Now, this is being filmed. I mean, if they want to reflect on it, there's cameras
buy
there.
The DVD.
Yeah, probably get a copy for quite cheap.
Yeah.
I get the story. I did find a lot of it entertaining. I can't decide. Like, I sometimes think Nash takes you out of it when he's doing the commentary because he gets a bit carried away. He is funny, but I think I have enough of it in just a few minutes.
Aye. It's because he's doing the wink, wink, nudge, nudge, look at the camera sort of thing, and it's we're all in on the joke. Like, he didn't need to lay it on so thick.
He's talking at one point about having career achievements on black and white Betamax and things like that. He's being quite self-deprecating, his glory days are done, and he's maybe just mocking himself for how long ago it was and stuff like that. But I would be really annoyed if it was a match I felt really invested in.
Mm-hmm. Aye. It's amazing to think that he's no wrestling here, and yet in 5 years' time he'll be in the middle of a WWE ring with the worst dye job you've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Powerbombing CM Punk out of his Summer of Punk.
Oh, wow.
And texting himself.
Oh.
Anyway, there's a crazy move that I've maybe never seen before that Truth does in this match. He's got one of them into a suplex and then just drops them down and they land in a stunner position. Amazing.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think I didn't even know what to describe that as in my notes.
Just Truth.
Yeah.
And like you said, you've described the finish, and these clowns end up getting in their own way, and Truth and Hoyt get the win. There was a funny bit where Nash pointed out the tramp stamp on Hoyt's back as well, which I did think was quite funny. Okay, we get a pretty cool video package all about AJ Styles and Christian. We get the sort of story of Christian coming into TNA as a babyface. He won the TNA title, and they're telling the story that although he lost the NWA title, heavyweight title, although he lost it in the King of the Mountain match, he was never pinned for it and never technically beaten for it. So get the impression that he's sort of climbing the ladder back up the way, and AJ Styles is in his way.
They do a lot of mentions of WWE, like through the show, but here when they're talking about him as basically like a marquee signing that is coming in, and like you say, he's won the world title, never really lost it, but the mentions of WWE are so frequent. And I thought, are they positioning it in your mind as the TNA guy against a WWE guy? Which is fine if you want to position it that way. He's our guy, he's coming to the company. But they weren't really saying that, but they still just mentioned WWE so much. Weird.
Yeah, I thought that as well, and I wondered if they were trying to do here's WWE missed the boat with this guy, and we're not. sort of thing, which is ironic because he's won the title, it's been and gone, and now he's back a few notches down. But it is funny, isn't it? Again, it's that thing of like exist in your own environment and create your own world. So I like this promo for Christian. We always shock horror, but we always love Christian. But I really like this promo for Christian here.
I felt like, because we liked his Rhino ones, but I felt like, I remember saying I felt like he maybe didn't quite have it yet. It was good and it had a lot of good moments, but I felt like this was a step along. I felt like this was very close to some of totally different topics and things like that, but very close to some of the work that it sounds like he's doing nowadays. He's got an intensity about him. He believes what he's saying. Everything he's saying, he believes it, and I like that.
I also like that. So on a previous Impact show, Christian and Rhino must have continued their rivalry, and they had a 6 sides of steel match where Christian won, but he only won because Rhino gored him out the cage with it and knocked one of the walls off. And Christian's like sort of talking it up as if he defeated Rhino handily in that match. Yeah. And Borash rolls his eyes at him, and Christian just goes for him, goes for the jugular. I like that.
Nice.
And he finishes it with a, "If you don't know, now you know."
Yeah.
Is that a thing that he carried on?
I don't remember.
I don't remember that one either.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we go. What do you think of their match, AJ Styles and Christian Cage?
So I enjoyed it. I don't know if I quite enjoyed it as much as I thought I might, but I did enjoy it. Christian, for a lot of it, especially early on, is playing the mind games, the heel, very effectively, and they seem to be going for a AJ may lose his focus because he's just so desperate to get to Christian and take him out. I think, quite early on, there's quite a lot of attempts to go for some of the signature moves, and they're countered and things like that. And I don't mind that because it then slows down into a more sort of natural match. I think there were a lot of good moments. I didn't love it. I don't know why. I thought, but when I saw the two names, I thought, this is going to be my favourite match ever. So maybe I just built it too much in my mind. But I did think it was pretty good. And I wasn't really sure what way they were going to go with it because, Christian, they've talked about it. He's been the champion. He, I think, is expected to be in the title picture at any given moment again, whereas AJ's not been there yet in, he's been X Division, he's been the main guy, he's been a very good tag team. And I was thinking, could this elevate AJ? But to be fair, I think putting him with Christian elevates him just by them having a good contest in a match. So yeah, I did enjoy it, but I maybe put too much expectation on it.
Aye. I think we saw that, Matt. We saw the names and we're just like, amazing. They'll gel.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and I were obviously thinking the same because I was thinking as the match was progressing, like I can't really decide who can afford to lose less here.
Yeah.
And what does that do for either? Like it feels like both of them should be climbing. It feels like a sort of daft thing where WCW do like a double count out or something like that, or a double pin or something like that. So it was at this point, and we'll get to the finish, where I was like, oh my, I think I texted you saying like, oh no, I didn't. I refrained because I knew you hadn't watched it yet. But like some of the booking decisions that TNA make are really refreshing. It's like logical booking decisions. It's great and very, like I say, really refreshing.
It's a bit of a sad state of affairs when it impresses you. It's little logical decisions are made.
That's where we are, isn't it? And I think Russo's back involved here.
Okay.
Isn't he? Yes, because this is the whole time. This is the whole time when they made the thing that I texted you about, saying that they made an agreement between Cornette and Russo. Russo wouldn't speak to Cornette as long as Cornette agreed not to attack him whenever he saw him.
Yeah, I wonder how they actually got Cornette to agree to that, because it sounds like You know, you couldn't get him to agree to that now.
Piss on his grave. That's a ridiculous thing that he said. It's got him the motivation to get healthy so he can live long enough to piss on his grave.
Yeah. It was quite a character.
What was I going to say there? Someone Jeff Jarrett said. Oh, I can't remember. He was laughing. They were basically laughing because Jeff Jarrett's quite good friends with Cornette, but I think he's pretty good friends with Russo as well.
Yeah, they'd had I think it was maybe to do with power plays towards the end of TNA because Russo and Jarrett had a falling out. And they did a big thing on his podcast about, I think it got to a point where he just got in touch with him again, just say, look, life's too short. Which seemed a very, Cornette's never going to do it.
No.
He could never bring himself to do it.
No, absolutely not. Okay, some of the stuff that AJ Styles does here is brilliant, and this is what, if you ever watch interviews with wrestlers, they always say, like, this is what Christian, like, you never realise how good a wrestler Christian is because he just makes the other guy look so good and smooth. And this moonsault into reverse DDT that AJ Styles does is unbelievable.
Yeah. There's some very good sequences actually, and AJ's obviously ridiculously agile, but I didn't like when you look at them opposing each other. I think it looks like Christian's the bigger guy. He probably is the slightly bigger guy, and we've talked about it before. He maybe doesn't that often get to be a bigger guy, or certainly in this era of wrestling, he wouldn't have got to be a bigger guy. But I thought he let AJ have quite a lot. Like it's very much a back and forth match.
Yep.
It's got quite a period of dominance from AJ, and that's why I do think it. We'll get to the finish, but maybe an example of how you can elevate somebody without needing to give them the win. You can imagine these two having another match, and you can imagine AJ still climbing the card. It makes sense.
Absolutely, 100%. Yep. Let's go to the finish then. Christian goes to get a steel chair, he brings it into the ring, and he's about to swing it when Christopher Daniels appears at the apron. He grabs onto the steel chair. As AJ has tried to sunset flip Christian, so he's sort of down between his legs, trying to pull him down. Christian uses the leverage from being held on by the chair and just sits down the same way as Bret Hart did to beat Bulldog SummerSlam 92, sits on his shoulders with his knees, and Christian gets the win. Which immediately sets AJ off into a bit of a rage. This is his former tag team partner. He came to his aid only a couple of matches ago, and that's all Daniels has tried to do here, is prevent him getting smashed with a steel chair. It's not worked out that way, so it's quite odd what happens next. Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt come out to try and pull them apart. They're not quite at blows, but AJ is shouting in his face and all that. Rhino, did they hit Rhino's music? Maybe.
I don't think so. No, I think he just appears.
Rhino comes out. He tells Lethal and Dutt to do one in a really disrespectful, like, what do you think yous are doing? Piped in, I'll sort this out type of way. He starts talking about, I've been in a feud with my friend and lost him and all that, talking about Christian, and he won't let it happen to them. What did you think was then going to happen? Did you think they were maybe going to come together?
Well, I really didn't know. I was watching thinking, what the fuck's this got to do with Rhino? And thinking, just if this is going to become a thing, just let it be a thing. Stay out of the way, Rhino. But he's like, I was watching in the back and it made me sick and all that. I'm like, all right. And then, what I did quite like was that AJ Styles' reaction, because Daniels is obviously, he's just wanting to let things go and he wants everything to be cool. It was a mistake. He wanted to try and help. AJ Styles really sarcastically says, "Thanks, Dr. Phil," to Rhino, which made me laugh. And then AJ storms out of the ring, and I quite liked seeing this side of him. He's just lost a match. He feels like his partner, his friend, cost him that match, and he's pissed off. And he's showing it. And I thought, are we going to get... I thought he showed Edge in the tag match with LAX because they were basically forced to go against what they would usually do, and they got ultra aggressive in that match just to try and survive it. And I liked that. But here I was thinking, are we getting a little bit of more character, a little bit of personality? It didn't feel like a full-on heel turn. It felt like I'm pissed off and I have every right to be. And I thought, I'm all right with that.
Brilliant, eh? Really good.
Yeah.
Sort of shades of grey. It doesn't need to be so...
Yeah.
So, like, well, now I'm a bad guy. He turns his back.
Yeah, he didn't need to low blow his pal and, do a move on him. He just needed to be pissed off and walk away, which is what he did.
I want that. Thanks, Dr. Phil, and his, like, total southern Georgia accent. I want that as, like, my message tone or something. Class. And I was, like, giddy after this because I was like, at the next pay-per-view, we're going to get another Styles-Daniels match because I'm well up for that, like. Because we said, like, how do you take them from rivals? I mean, we liked that. They took them from rivals to tag team partners the year later. Yeah. Now they've amicably split, it seems. And now they've just... Well, Daniels has cost him the match and they're bumping heads. Like it.
Yeah.
Great.
Nice.
Great creative. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, JB backstage with America's Most Wanted and Gail Kim. She's back. She appears to have handcuffs. Why? Any idea?
You don't know when you're going to need handcuffs.
That's what the big boss man used to say. Okay, this is like the classic Game of Two Halves promo because Chris Harris, I think it is, cuts an absolutely amazing promo. And I love it. And just let him talk.
Yeah.
Because the second guy, James Storm, starts doing things in different accents, which is incredibly offensive.
Yeah.
What is he doing?
It wasn't good. You're 100% right. If that promo had just ended partway through, I think it would have come across really well. Because they're opposing what we've just seen, and every promo from LAX has been cutting and aggressive and unsettling and all that. And you, I think, need to be firing back with something. And I thought, like you said, the first half of the promo did a good job of that. I could have just cut out the rest.
It's like this other guy only knows turned up to 11, like he's drinking the beer and then he's launching it about the place, and he just needs to like, again, take it down a couple of notches and didn't start doing an incredibly horrendous offensive Asian accent standing next to Gail Kim. I think that's maybe a bad idea.
That's the worst. Yeah. I did like, though, they go into a package where they're showing the two teams attacking each other. And this has felt like it's been building, it's felt intense, and it's, America's Most Wanted have probably felt like maybe the only team that can go in there and try and go toe-to-toe with LAX. Yep. And I love the build. I love where we've got to here with these two teams.
Me too. I like the storytelling that it's went across, like America's Most Wanted they weren't facing LAX at the last pay-per-view, but they had the rivalry, and they'd done that, was it the border toss? Is that what that Hernandez powerbomb thing is? To Gail Kim, and it's lasted. It just, that thing of like teams interacting with each other where they're not directly actually facing each other. We don't have conflict just because we're facing each other. There's pay-per-view sort of thing. It's cool. I like it. Yeah. That takes us into the match. So it's NWA Tag Team Titles. LAX the champions versus America's Most Wanted. Did LAX come out to Cypress Hill?
I think so.
They just get better and better.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah,
just amazing. Conan's on the mic again, talking about his First Amendment right to desecrate the American flag. The Americans the crowd are just like, I don't know. It's like a trigger point for them, and it doesn't matter how contrived it is. It works every single time.
Yeah.
It's
And
brilliant.
again, we talked about the way Conan delivers it. When he's talking, the way he delivers it, there's a venom in it, and it's really like this could so easily fail and flop if it was the wrong person speaking.
Aye.
But it's not.
Muhammad
Thankfully.
Hassan.
Yeah.
It's funny because we'll get towards the end, but the crowd, I think some of the crowd are like, "Oh, we love America, don't do that." But some of the crowd are like, "These guys are amazing, like us," and cheering for LAX.
Yeah, it was noticeable actually at a couple of points in the match where it's almost like they just couldn't help themselves. The crowd
just recognising good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, you enjoy the match overall?
I did. Like I thought, America's Most Wanted brought a lot of aggression, which obviously was going to come from the other side. I kept thinking there were so many moments in the match where I just thought, what an absolute beast Hernandez is.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, this guy, like, he's agile, he's massive, he's terrifying, but he moves in quite a scary way. He's so dominant through periods of time. Is he still a thing?
I have no idea.
It's not a name you ever hear now, I don't think. But
nah.
This guy had it.
Definitely. And that Chris Harris is a big guy, and I think he's probably even taller than Hernandez. But Hernandez's sort of aura would make you think he was bigger than him.
Yeah,
and he tosses it, he belly to bellies him across the ring, and then grabs the other one, does this big spinning power bomb.
Yeah,
at one point, it's just you're right, like just an absolute animal. And then in Homicide, compliments him with his sort of little, the way he moves about the ring and does these little vicious strikes and knee drops and things like that. That I can't say enough about them.
Yeah.
And Harris was reminding me a bit of Mike Awesome, in a good way, not in the fat chick thriller or
nearly
almost
killing
decapitating men.
Yeah.
I loved it as well. This felt to me like, I think we spoke about this last time, this felt as good a build as Angle Joe. Like I really wanted to see these two go at each other.
And to have these things are on the same card. You know, it's to be able to have these two. You know, we talk about a lot. A thing that people talk about in the Attitude Era was everyone had a story, and you know, not everyone's got a story, and I don't know that everyone always needs a story, but I think if you have your focus on your main stories, and you've got the Angle and Joe thing, and you've got these tag teams, you know, going up against each other. And for me, those are your two main stories. And even if you only had one of them on this show, I think it would have made it, must watch is maybe too much, but it would have made it a show to seek out and watch.
Aye, absolutely.
But to have both come into a head here is brilliant. Awesome.
Aye, like just jumping on what you're saying, like there's everybody having a story, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're always good stories.
Yeah.
Like, these are meaningful stories that are happening here.
Yeah.
Which is class. So the blowtorch comes into play towards the end here. The blowtorch that they were going to use to set the flag on fire. Pretty vicious, again, Homicide. Right to his character. He hits Storm in the back of the head with the blowtorch, which lets LAX retain. There's quite a lot of chaos in this, but not in a silly way, I wouldn't have said. Conan's just an absolute menace. He gets like a little vicious shot in here and there.
And there's points where he's chasing Gail Kim round the ring, and he's distracting one of AMW at any given time. We said it before, we said it just a little bit earlier, it just feels like a perfect role for him.
Yeah. He's what I thought that around at the time when MVP was the mouthpiece for the Hurt Business and for Bobby Lashley, and I thought MVP was similar in that he was built for that role, a lot better at that than he was a wrestler. And he was a good wrestler, same as Conan.
Yeah.
Okay, so after the match, Homicide is about to hit Gail Kim with that horrendous screwdriver thing. He's got her positioned, but here comes Petey Williams again.
Petey Williams?
Canada coming in to save the day. And then Cornette's out, storming into the ring. He can speak this time. He's very passionate. He's pissed off at LAX. He talks about them desecrating the flag and all that sort of stuff. And I think he thinks he's cutting a babyface promo, Cornette. And in 1994, he probably is.
Yeah, because he's talking about them as well, using the racism aspect as a publicity stunt and things like that. It's interesting, you hear what he's saying, and then you think about what he's saying, you're like, I wonder if you drop it here and now, how a crowd would actually react. It would probably depend on the crowd. But yeah, interesting.
So he strips LAX of their tag team titles. The fans are hating it. They are booing him out the building. He's kind of looking a little confused.
Yeah.
He has told them if they don't give the belts back by Thursday, then, which I guess is their show, is it Impact or Fusion or something like that, they'll have their contracts terminated.
So is Petey Williams here like a bizarro world Bret Hart? Do you think he's hated in Canada now for all of this saving the American flag? But he's loved by Americans.
Loved by the one Canadian they like. Class. I think he's just sweet on Gail Kim. He seems to just keep popping up wherever she is.
Yeah, I mean, he helped save her. He did a good thing.
A nice guy.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a good match, and I am hopeful that they will run it back. Spoiler alert,
me too.
They do.
Yeah, I want to see more.
Bad news, bro. Vince Russo gets involved. It certainly seems, based on the stipulation match that they have at the next pay-per-view, but we'll get to it.
Okay.
Here's our boy from the territories, James Mitchell. He's backstage with Abyss, who always has a chain on hand to just pull it.
Yeah.
I'm
a James Mitchell guy.
Yeah, same. Definitely. He's grown on you.
Yeah.
I like that he's doing this sort of sneaky... He's making all these little allusions to Sting having vices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When he was previously World Heavyweight Champion. And I think that's sort of blurring the lines, because I think Sting did have alcohol issues and stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it's later admitted by Sting. Yeah.
I really like that, because Sting Abyss doesn't do much for me, I think, on paper.
It doesn't for me, and it's also got a problem of the matches it's in between here.
Aye.
It's a really tough spot for this and for these two.
I was just writing down this stuff about him, talking about that with Sting having his vices and that, and then he made me stop. He described Abyss as a maniacal killing machine.
Yeah.
The ring is his own personal slaughterhouse. Yes, now I'm pumped for this. I want to see him kill Sting. Not because I dislike Sting, but you've got me. James Mitchell's talked me into my seat. And then we get a little video package for the match. Sting, the champion, NWA Heavyweight Champion, taking on the Monster Abyss. Sting, looking just like gold, Jerry Gold, with this no top. He just looks amazing. I've no idea what age he would be here, but probably the best I think I've ever seen him look, possibly.
Yeah. If he turned up like this, Hogan would have had no problem putting him over.
Brother! Walks down and lies down in the ring. He's got the sort of the hybrid face paint again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Aye, brilliant. Give him the weeks off every week and just let him do whatever he's doing. I don't know. I think you might have issues with the refereeing and the decision making in this match, but I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it because I think the commentary team allude to the fact that the referee's letting the referee knows the stakes, and he's letting these guys go, like, push the envelope, push the boundaries of the rules. That would be fine. But the end of the result of the match is a disqualification.
Yeah. It's like, I suppose they do build to it, right? Because it happens almost right from the start. There's tables being set up. There's a barbed wire board. The ref, it seems like, is politely trying to talk people out of using these things. He definitely, Sting picks up the title at a point, and the ref's like, "Don't use that, Sting. Come on, just let it go." And the ref gets, accidentally taken out quite soon after that. But I get it, right? We've seen this in hundreds of matches where it doesn't go to a DQ, where they talk about the fact the ref wants us to get a decisive winner here in the match. He doesn't want to call a DQ. He wants somebody with their arm raised as the champion at the end of the match. I do get it, but it did really disappoint me the way the match finished.
Does it?
Yeah.
Did you know that the title could change hands via DQ? Nah,
I didn't, and I also felt like by the way they were trying to explain it on commentary that maybe it never happened before.
Right, okay.
There's a lot of explanation being given because obviously they'll know that people are used to watching WWF, and before it, WCW, I don't think you could win most of their titles anyway on a DQ. So they were having to try pretty hard to explain that one to the viewer.
There was a bit earlier on when Abyss was intending on powerbombing Sting onto the two tables that had like the barbed wire doors on them. And I think the ref is at that point is saying, "I'm going to disqualify you." And James Mitchell's even telling Abyss to stop. So, like, the stakes are there. Maybe the breadcrumbs were there as well, but I maybe just didn't pick up on them until the unfortunate end. I thought the match was pretty decent, actually. I genuinely enjoyed it.
I don't think this one was for me so much. Just, I don't know. Like, I get you're not... If you've got these two guys, what can they realistically do just as a wrestling match in the ring? So I think I get a lot of the outside of the ring stuff, a lot of the weapons style stuff from a point of view of trying to put together a match, especially when you know that there's going to be a pretty intense wrestling clinic on just after you.
That's fair.
But I think it's just not the type of match I enjoy so much.
I hear what you're saying. I feel like, you're saying about like what sort of wrestling match can the two of them put on without it needing to be tacks and tables and stop signs and all that. Like, I feel like there's a story to be told there with like Sting evading the monster and chopping him down, and like, to me, Abyss is kind of like a cross between Mankind and Kane. So, and he's just been described as, whatever I said, maniacal killing machine. Like, Sting getting out his way and trying to outfox him and stuff like that. The sort of wily veteran trying to outfox the animal. I don't know. I think it, if you watched a best of Abyss matches, it would get pretty tedious pretty soon. The bag of tacks. It seems like every time the guy pulls out a bag of tacks, he's destined to be lying in them. Yeah,
I don't know why. Like, why is Mitchell allowing a bag of tacks to be anywhere near the ring? It's costing his guy time and time again. Although I suppose things don't work out too badly for him. Like, you've got some classic Sting moments, I think, which is what I guess a crowd wants to see. They want to see Sting doing his version of like hulking up and stuff like that. They want to see him going for his stinger splash in the corners and things like that. So you get that. I imagine if you're a fan there to see a Sting match, you're wanting to see that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah. Aye, and I suppose they do that for you. What did you think about taking him outside, using the rope that he rappelled down from, which I don't think he does rappel down from in TNA. Anytime we've seen him, he's come out the top of the ramp.
Yeah.
He hung Abyss upside down by this giant rope and then tied it up and just fucking went mental with a chair on him. Like, there's your DQ.
Like, I when I was watching it as well, I was thinking, it's like what was maybe supposed to happen when they had that Macho Man Randy Savage and Crush match at that, at that WrestleMania, where he tries to high him up and then he just heads up back on the ground.
Class. Well, how does this one finish? I know it finishes by DQ. Sting launches Abyss through the barbed wire tables, of course. As the ref was trying to stop him. Oh, Sting just levels the ref, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Poor wee ref just says, nah.
I think he's just calling for the bell at the moment he puts Abyss through the barbed wire tables.
Yeah.
And they're talking up the fact that it's like Sting snapped. And they've been building to that through the match, which again, I don't mind that. That's fine. He's been pushed too far. But then the announcers start talking about him looking possessed.
Oh, dear.
But then he also, like, I've gone a wee bit sarcastic in my nose. Sting seems confused. He doesn't understand what really could possibly have broken. And then I got really confused by the title changing hands on a DQ.
Yeah, that was weird. Like you say, they go head over heels trying to explain it in TNA.
Yeah.
What a shit way to win the title.
James Mitchell's loving it though. He's laughing maniacally
as his maniacal killer machine's lying.
Yeah,
ripped and barbed wire.
It's from Mitchell's reaction. It's almost like, I love it when a plan comes together. This can't have been his plan.
I'll be interested to see where that goes. I did not see them putting the title on Abyss after Sting, because Sting just took off Jarrett, didn't he?
Yeah, it was surprising.
Interesting.
So I think you'd said Jarrett was leaving. Jarrett had to go. Ill wife, I think, at that point. So maybe it was just a quick solution and he was always going to just hold it briefly. Not sure.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. Okay. Friends who are listening to this, please pause and go to the show notes and go to use the YouTube link that is in the show notes. Fast forward to the start of Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle. Watch the fucking match because it's amazing. Then come back. Right, you're back. Okay, fantastic. Right, Adam. First of all, the video package for this is amazing. Hey.
Do you know one thing? See, at the start of this show, because I remember at the start of the previous show, I loved the video package right at the start.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the one on this was a little bit underwhelming because they had so much they could sell in here. But when it got to the individual packages before the big matches, they were really good.
Yep.
And this one, I love this. I was just so ready for this.
Like My Sacrifice levels of good.
Amazing.
Okay, so we've got Joe versus Angle. I like Angle coming up through the floor in his entrance.
Me too.
Difficult to get iconic music. It's difficult to hear their music on a TNA pay-per-view, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot harder than it is on a lot of the big WWF shows. The thing that I loved about all this, at any point, there's no belittling the other one. This is basically the best wanting to prove they're the best by beating the best.
Yes.
And I love that. It's not I'm better than you and I'm going to show you. It is both of them desperately wanting this challenge to try and beat the other guy.
It's like the two alphas seeing each other and they need to be top of the pack. Like, it's not like I don't like you or anything like that. It's like, I don't know. It's just like a desperate internal need to beat the other person.
It should be. Like, there's so many ways in which it should be simple when you're talking about, a wrestling match and a wrestling card and all that. But you just are hardly ever going to get two guys like this.
Nah. They didn't even need to cut promos on each other, really. Because of that, at that last pay-per-view, where they just... Like, it was an inexplicable need to, like, beat up each other and grab each other, and I will beat you.
Yes.
It's amazing, eh? Brilliant.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk through this match. Interesting thing that Angle said on his podcast today when he was being asked about it. So this match goes 14 minutes. And apparently Talent had been told they were on really, really strict timings for their matches before this match. We need all the time for Angle Joe. This match went 40 minutes, like I say. It had been scheduled for around half an hour. Angle had called it 40 minutes because he said, this is only the first time we've ever touched. This is our very first match. There's going to be more. Let's not give them it all in our first outing. And I feel like that is, like, obviously really smart. I'd never think that was anything that anybody would even consider.
No.
It shows how much Angle's obviously learned as being part of WWE and working with Michaels and Lesnar and Austin and whoever. I found that really interesting.
Yeah. And a very, very intelligent thing to do and decide.
Yeah. So Samoa Joe's got the undefeated streak. Angle is coming in as this hot new talent, essentially propelled right to the top of the card. He's a standout talent. Yeah. He's arguably the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
When TNA signed him. Who did you think was going to win?
I thought they would give Angle the win with him being basically the new superstar, and I knew if they did it right, it wouldn't hurt Joe. And I also knew it wasn't going to be the only match. I've listened to quite a lot of Angle podcasts where he's talked about this, and I can't remember if I knew because he's spoken about it that he was going to win the first match. That's possible. I may have already had it in my mind. What did you think?
I wasn't sure. I was a bit worried that they would, again, going back to the AJ Christian thing, they do a double pin or they do some sort of ambiguous finish. Again, I think they did it perfectly.
Yeah,
you're exactly right. Like you can come out, you can be more over coming out of a match having lost than you can having won it.
Yeah,
if it's done correctly. The fact that he's coming on the heels of this undefeated streak, I think it probably helps Samoa Joe to get beat by Kurt Angle and not anybody else.
Yeah. That's the thing. If Angle doesn't end the undefeated streak, who could to make it actually worth doing?
Aye, and it's no clearly it's nothing like Angle dominates him. In fact, Joe heavily dominates Angle. Quite a lot during this match in a sort of manhandling type way, which is brilliant.
There's in quite the early stages, there's a viciousness to Joe, which we've seen him, I think, looking pretty laid back in the ring in a lot of scenarios where he's well in control of situations and he's just strolling around and things like that. But he's matching the Angle intensity here, and he's vicious.
Aye. There's a point where he grabs. They're on the outside after Joe's hit. He hits a dive on the outside. He leads with his elbow, so it's not just his body. He's going with his elbow. He grabs Angle. He wanders him round the ring and smashes him into the ring, into the stairs. Yeah. And again, that sounds like comedy, but it's not done in a comedy way. It's done in a I'm going to hurt you type way. Yeah. Angle is completely busted, dripping pretty profusely with blood. And Angle, Joe takes him back in and again goes to work, destroys him. He has a beautiful tilt a whirl backbreaker. I gave it 9 out of 10 on the crush scale.
Nice.
Pretty close. Yeah. And then Angle starts to fight from underneath. And you believe it. It would be very easy for Angle to not be fighting from underneath and looking on top and looking the better athlete and all that, but he needs to fight from underneath because of what Joe's doing to him. Yeah. He hits triple Germans, but he sells the exhaustion. He can barely complete the third, which I really loved. And I don't know if I've ever seen Angle do that before.
No, I don't think so.
Angle was again saying that podcast he was supposed to hit 10 Germans in a row.
Okay.
But he said that he thought that this was a better decision and it was better for both of them and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I was concerned when Joe hit the muscle buster
Yeah.
on that neck.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I don't think Angle's that guy that sits in a room and says, I'm not taking this move, that move, or that move. I think,
Yeah, asks for it probably.
Yeah, I think so. Make it look real.
Here's fucking Hebner coming in to ruin the party, by the way. This match is amazing, but Joe hits a muscle buster and Hebner's doing his 1, 2, and then his little gimpy falling over 3 when he'd be better putting up a sign saying this is going to be a close 3 count, but he won't quite make it.
I don't know why, but I was really surprised Hebner was there. I kind of... He was obviously very long-term WWE guy, but it was some sort of merchandise fraud or something I think he got fired for. And it never clicked in my mind, of course he would have gone to TNA.
It's funny when you say Hebner, we both assume we're talking about Earl Hebner, eh?
Yeah, everyone forgot about Dave.
It could have been Dave, you never know.
But yeah, true.
Hogan would know the difference.
Yeah.
Olympic Slam gets close too. We got a make him tap chant in the crowd as Angle takes off the straps and gets the ankle lock on.
There was I couldn't decide how see at that moment Angle slam the kick out and then straps down and the chant of make him tap. I think I wanted the crowd to be with Joe. He's their guy, but it's Kurt Angle. I get it. But I put in my notes, don't turn on your guy. But I think they just want to see awesome stuff.
Aye. And that is exactly what they get. Have you ever seen the ankle lock be reversed into a sort of reverse chokehold?
Yeah, I think... See, I remember... See when he did, the roll out of it thing, or roll through it, I remember thinking, I've seen Benoit do that. But I don't know that he rolled into his own kind of move.
Now you've said that. I've got not horrible, but a memory of... Is he maybe got the ankle lock on whilst Benoit's got the crossface on or something like that?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
This is a little bit similar, but I think it looked better. This.
Yeah.
The way that Joe flips it round and he slips into the cocaine clutch. And it's just as vicious. But Angle manages to get the ankle going whilst he's in the clutch, which is just class. Joe has to let go. Another Olympic slam. He puts the straps back on to then take them off again. Love that. Ankle lock again, and Joe eventually taps out.
He sold the second one, the ankle lock where he does tap out. There's some brilliant facial work going on from Joe because he looks panicked. When the first one went on, he didn't have that look and he looked like, okay, I can come up with something. But when the second one went on, he sells this really good panic look, like I don't know what to do, which came across really well to me.
And I think we've probably seen a gazillion wrestlers do it. I think Austin was good at this. It's not contrived. Oh my God, he's a wrestler. How am I going to get out of this? Rock was always pretty terrible for his sort of over the top.
Very.
Whereas, like you say about Joe, it's like you believe it. I suppose they make it. It feels real.
Yeah.
Going back to the crowd, you tapped out. You tapped out, and I felt like Joe dealt with this in the absolutely perfect way. I don't know if this was off the cuff or whatever, but it's dealt with beautifully. I did tap out because he was the better man. Yeah. Anybody else would have tapped out as well or something like that. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
He says Angle's the better man. I'd love a rematch. And Angle goes for the handshake and fakes him out and walks off. I didn't expect that.
Maybe it's the way he gets a bit of heat back after, the crowd basically chanting for him to win. Joe wants to go again. Angle in this moment doesn't. Yeah. Oh, it was great.
Oh, it really was. It definitely lived up to what we wanted it to be.
What was he says something like, "Then Angle, I guess we got to do this the hard way," or something like that at the end. Oh, I've got a question for you.
Why?
Angle and Joe, or Angle and Benoit?
Oh dear. I think we've said before. I can't remember what pay-per-view it was. I think we said Angle Benoit is one of the best, most believable wrestling matches that we've seen. Very similar in their own sort of ways. I love the dynamic here, but I think Joe Angle simply because Benoit was just like a really good wrestler with a bit of a shit character. Like he never had a great charisma about him or anything like that, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think Joe is like this really believable badass character, so I probably would go Angle Joe. What about you?
I think Angle Joe, and as much as the in-ring for both were excellent, but when I think about things like the pull-apart brawl, just being the most realistic thing that I've seen, like that, I think that side of things edges it for me. I think I would go Joe, and I like the dynamic of Joe being the TNA guy and Angle coming into his company, and the story kind of worked out better, I think, so I'll go for that.
Joe is sort of... So, what was the first Bound for Glory we saw? It was Joe versus... Was it Joe versus Ultimo Dragon?
Yeah, I think that's right, yeah.
And he was very much a TNA younger guy that's been lighting up the X Division. He's a huge guy, but he does these agile moves. And then what was he doing in the last pay-per-view? He was in the Monsters Ball, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And it felt like he was treading water a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Here he's a made man, and he's like...
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, sky's the limit.
He's there, and again, regardless of win-lose in this series of matches, you can go anywhere with him now.
Absolutely. So that leads me to have a question for you.
Okay.
Is he the biggest sure thing there's never been WWE champion?
Maybe. Like, I remember watching some of the TNA stuff and really liking him, and then almost thinking, why are WWE not moving for him at the time? And then when they did bring him in, I don't even know that he was past his best or whatever. I think they brought him in without wanting to use him in that way, which seems weird.
They do that. They do that, though. We've seen that.
Yeah. And he's world champion now in AEW, I think. And clearly, by the sounds of it, a very well respected guy, a very stable guy to have in your locker room. I think they missed, and I do wonder if Triple H had been in charge, if things might have gone differently. Because he's got everything.
Yeah, he definitely has. And there's some great bits. You ever seen the thing, the promo he cuts? He's walking down the ring. I want to say it's on a SmackDown, and there's like Randy, Jeff Hardy, and maybe Ricochet in the ring, and it's going to be a 4-way, and Joe just cuts them all completely, like in one-liners. He says something like, "Jeff, make like it's an AA meeting and shut your mouth and let while the others are sharing," or something like that.
Wow.
Like, And he had a good program with AJ Styles, and there was all the stuff with AJ's wife, and he's doing the whole is it Wendy? Is that AJ Styles' wife? Maybe Wendy. She's going to be my new wife, and all this sort of stuff. He's a really like a total menace. Imagine him versus. I don't know if they ever did him versus Brock Lesnar, but imagine that.
Yeah, there was obviously somebody there that thought he was a good talker because they used him on commentary quite a bit. But yeah, it's a shame because you sort of think about what could have been. But then, if it was there, would you have got things like this? Would they have done it the same way as they did this? And, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, he's awesome. And rewatching this stuff, he's even better than I thought he was.
Same. In ring, he's just amazing. Then he's got this attitude. He's clearly got loads of respect, like you said. He's good at thinking on his feet. I really, that thing was saying to the crowd, like, I tapped out, but like in the wrong hands, that could have just been like, wait for them to be quiet, sort of thing, and just look a bit daft.
Yeah.
Nice. Interesting that that went on last over the heavyweight NWA heavyweight title, but it kind of had to, didn't it?
I think they had to. I've always been of the opinion the title matches should go on last, but can you imagine what the crowd would have been like for the title match if it had been after that? They would have been dead on their feet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think Meltzer gave it? Let's have a look. I think that he's never given Angle a 5-star match, hasn't he, famously? Let's have a wee look. So, Daniel Sabin got 3.5 stars. Christian AJ got 3 3/4 stars. And Angle Joe got 4 1/4 stars.
Okay.
That's disgraceful.
5 for me. In fact, give it 6. Just give it 6.
Give it the Osprey ratings. Love it.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a rating for LAX and America's Most Wanted. We need Dave to start giving ratings for promos, then we'll be seeing Conan with a few 5 stars.
Yes.
So, pay-per-view overall, you satisfied with it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed Angle Joe. Really enjoyed the tag title match. Enjoyed Christian AJ and enjoyed the Daniels and Sabin. And I quite like the Naturals and Letha. Yeah, good show. Very good show.
Nice. Love it. Shall we talk Turning Point then? That's the following month, December 2006.
Yeah. Let's do this.
Okay, we're back in the Impact Zone. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, just 6 matches on the card.
Okay.
It feels streamlined, but possibly in quite a good way. So let's have a look. Paparazzi Championship Series 5-man elimination match.
Oh no.
Oh, our boy Loki's back.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Paparazzi Championship Series 5-man elimination match. Okay. We could do some punctuation there. Jay Lethal versus Alex Shelley versus Senshi Loki versus Sonjay Dutt versus Austin Starr.
Okay.
That's quite confusing because they're obviously I'm sure we'll get some background to understand that. TNA X Division title match, special referee Jerry Lynn. Christopher Daniels defend his title against Chris Sabin.
Okay.
Singles match, Rhino, aka Dr. Phil, versus AJ Styles.
Okay.
Some of that. Flag ladder tag team match. So I assume the American flag is going to be up, and whoever gets it gets to either set it on fire or not set it on fire. America's Most Wanted versus LAX.
Okay.
NWA World Heavyweight Title 3-way match. Abyss, the champion, defending against Sting and Christian Cage.
Okay.
So Christian's worked his way in there. And the main event is Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe.
Okay.
Sounds alright.
Yeah. Wonder what AJ Styles is up to. Is he just going to be interfering with Daniels?
What do you mean? Well, he's fighting Rhino.
Oh, of course. I missed that. I listened to you say it and I thought, oh, that sounds quite interesting. And I thought, oh, where is he?
That sounds alright. So we'll it's kind of sequel. Next week's the sequel. We'll do 28 weeks later and we'll do Turning Point. TNA 2006 is just, it's where I want to go on my holidays. It's amazing.
I am enjoying myself. I'm really enjoying myself.
Excuse me. Yeah, same. The enthusiasm's dripping from you. I'm just realised your beard's gone.
Now, this, I have regrets. I had such one of these, like, you know, old sailor type beards for a while.
David Letterman, that's what I always say.
And then I got a bit sick of it and the scruffy look, and I got rid of it. And this is a few days of growth now. It doesn't take me that long, but it was just stubble at first when it happened. And my wife was also horrified because she does not like my face being almost bald.
You're a child.
Yeah. Well, my dad was round for dinner tonight, and he actually said, "You do look a lot younger when you do this." I was like, "All right, okay."
Is that a compliment or is it?
Well, I still have regrets, even if I look younger. I have regrets.
Well, okay. Well, you look good.
Thanks.
It's a different look, but you look good.
It is different. I think I confused someone because I had a meeting with them before and then after that day, same day as I'd had it done, and they were just burst out laughing. They said it is like a totally different person. All right.
Talking of work, I've got a challenge for you. Tomorrow at work, or before the next time we podcast, in 2 weeks' time, I'd like you sarcastically to say to someone, "Thanks, Dr. Phil."
Okay.
See if you can get that in.
I think I can maybe do that. I'm trying to think who I've all got in meetings tomorrow. Yeah, I'll give that a go.
Nice.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Excellent. I like it. If you're turn up in 2 weeks' time with your P45, then take full responsibility for that.
As long as it was funny, it was worth it.
Exactly. I like it.
Yeah.
Good attitude.
Yeah.
Okay, in 2 weeks' time, we'll talk Turning Point and 28 weeks later. Until then, take it easy, Adam.
Cheers.